Alright guys, so what we're going to do is talk about how to make a mod. And I'm going to go over the mod that I'm making as it covers quite a few little things in it. I'm going to go through, I'm not actually changing any stats to anything, but I will be modifying tables that would do that. Essentially, I'm going to go through and change the look and sound of a legendary lord. I want to change a legendary lord, in this case Throgg, into a female character, essentially for my wife, so that she and I can play Norska together. And I made one for Wolfric, and I'm going to make one for Throgg so she can choose which one she wants to be, and I'll play the other character. Now, um, in this mod, there's going to be quite a few things covered, and it's going to be a little bit long, so I'm sorry, but modding takes a while, and to be honest, going through this takes a fraction of the time that it takes to actually develop these mods, because you do so much trial and error, and just having to open and Warhammer up over and over again to see if your mod is working or if things are failing, it is seriously time consuming. And this isn't even the most complicated thing out there, but it's definitely a something using start position mods, which I'll have to use for this mod, is a is something that many modders are afraid to do. Only a few people are actually messing with start position mods because they're pretty complicated. And Bob, which is the assembly kit beta that you need to get under Games and Tools for start position mods, and for any mod for that matter, is trash. It's garbage, but we do need it at least so that we can get the pack files. Okay, what else we need is we need Rusted Pack File Manager, which is the main modding tool that I use. I also use Pack File Manager, which is the older thing that essentially it works. It's just not as good, and it crashes more often. It's what I learned on. Rusted Pack File is much better, but for some reason, over the past several months, Rusted Pack File Manager does not open certain tables that are really common tables that I work with. So in that case, I'll have to switch over to Pack File Manager. I'm also using a photo editing, so I use GIMP and Paint.net. They're free as well. So all of this stuff is free. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to change Throgg, and I just want to show you an idea of kind of what my idea here was I saw this picture online. Don't ask why I was searching for troll women. I was actually just trying to get an idea of different picture concepts for a troll character for Throgg. And I saw this and I thought, this is pretty cool. I like the red hair. I like the blue skin. We're going to go with this. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the in-game Blade Singer models to have blue skin and change a little bit more to it. Okay, and then I'm going to use those for Throgg. Also, I'm going to change the weapon Throgg uses, because he uses this giant two-handed weapon, and weapons don't really scale. I mean, they scale with the character as you scale the character up, but they don't scale with the model size, and you can't scale their size easily. That would require editing like rigid models and stuff. It's a pain. And I don't know how to do those yet. That is a serious level of difficulty. So the people who are out there changing what things actually the physical, 3D model, what those look like, and the animations are doing crazy work. That is just, it's complicated. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Rusted Pack File Manager and obviously make sure Warhammer 2 is selected. There's a whole setup for this. You can look up plenty of ways of how to set up Rusted Pack File Manager. We're going to create a new pack file. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to add from pack file. So first off, I'm going to just create what the character looks like. So it's in the data file of Total War Warhammer 2. It's data. This is where all of the packs are. Now, for the variant mesh of Legendary Lords, you're looking at campaign variants and any of numbers of these things. So I always go to the first one, and most stuff is in the main file, but Throgg's weird if I remember right. There's some that aren't. No, Throgg is not in there. So I can search and see that Throgg is not there. We're looking for variant meshes, and he's not there. So instead, I'm going to add from pack file. I'm going to go to campaign variants 2 and look for them there. So here, Throgg is right there. So that's Throgg. So this is where what he looks like is defined. And this is what it looks like. He is weird. Well, every model is different, and you just got to look at different models out there. The thing to keep in mind is that different models do not work together. So elf women do not work with elf men. Elf women do not work with human women. Human women don't work with human men. The exception here is you can actually, well, is like Rapance, her head and body are both classified as males in the rigging method of this, and so her head fits on male bodies, male human bodies. But none of these would work on like dwarf bodies or lizard bodies or undead bodies, or actually I'm not 100% sure on undead. I'm pretty sure I haven't tried putting a human body on a or an undead head together. I should do that, but probably not. Um, and then like Chaos and Norska are similar, so they work together, but they don't work with anybody else because they're big bodies. Anyway, so every one of them's different, and some of them have like head, body, legs. Like dwarves have like head, body, legs, cape, helmet, and then weapons defined. Um, Obviously, Throgg is just body and weapon. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add some more from the ones that we're going to edit. So I'm going to go and add again pack file. And I'm going to go now to variants. Variants is where the most units files are. So in the variants, I'm going to add, because I want the chieftain's shield, so I'm going to add him in. I want the blade singers as their main body, and I want the zombies mace. Now the reason I'm going to put a shield on her when Throgg has a two-handed mace is that one, most of the two-handed maces are way too big, and two, there aren't any elf two-handed female woman animations in the game that aren't spears. So I have to work with what I've got. So I'm going to use like a sword and shield animation instead, because that's pretty much my only option. So I'm going to put in the zombie here. So she'll have a shield, even though I'm not changing her stats to show that. It's just visual. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take the chieftain's model. So I usually actually take like a character who's most similar. In this case, a shield and a weapon. The weapon ones give me trouble sometimes. If I just were to type them into the places where they belong here, I would have issues sometimes. So instead, I actually take a character most similar to what I'm going for. Chieftains have a sword and shield, I believe, or an axe and shield, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to say copy this, and I'm just going to paste it over Throgg. And then I'm going to make changes to Throgg to this model instead. So first off, the shield. The shield I'm going to choose to be 2. Now I could delete some of these, but I've also had issues when I delete one of them or 2 of them to just have 1 where they don't show up anymore. Don't ask me why, don't know why. So instead I just change them all to be the same. So when they're different, essentially it tells it that it's for randomization. So every one of these has a 1 in 3 chance here of being chosen for each character that there is. So when you're making like a whole unit, you want variation, but because I have just a single character who's going to be doing this, I just want one thing. So that's the shield. I'm going to choose the zombies mace, which is technically an Empire model. As you can see, Emp, Flagellants. So we're going to put it in weapon 2. Weapon slot 2 is the one-handed weapons. Weapon slot 1 is two-handed weapons. Though I don't know if it's like spears, technically. It's weird. Anyway, I don't remember what all the different weapon slots are. I'm going to choose model, let's say 2. I think 2 is kind of more crude looking. I actually like 3 best, but I think 2 is more appropriate. Okay, so now cape, we don't need a cape. So we're going to delete that. He has legs and torso and head defined. We're actually going to not use that at all. We're going to use the Blade Singer's body type. So we're going to say select from head to the end of the body to slot here, and we're going to do that. So we're going to take from head to legs, delete the legs as well, get rid of those, paste the body and head. So this defines the Blade Singer. Again, everybody is different, and so you can mix and match quite a bit head and bodies as long as they're the same general group, it will work. But like I said, there's a lot of things that don't work that you really would think it would work differently than it does, but it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to change the head to 2 because I like to choose head best. It doesn't have flowers or anything. It would be most appropriate. Why is that showing? I'm just curious what's going on with that. I'm gonna just recopy this just in case, just because I don't like that like purple. It makes me nervous. Okay, anyway, so 2 head. Now the bodies don't really matter because I can't tell them apart, so I'm just gonna say 2. Now this metadata tells like the sound that the like weapons striking it make up close, and so having a female sound and this is fine. So I'm going to change all the bodies to 2 as well. Okay, so that is the variant mesh defined. So Throgg is now defined. He now will look like the Blade Singers. The problem is that I need to set up more stuff to that because I'm going to change him. The Blade Singers have normal skin. I want to make him blue skinned. So I'm going to save my pack file at this stage just so that I don't have to do it all over again as something. Here's test. It's just my test 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull up the variant model. So this is under the variants pack, and I'm going to get the rigid model for the Blade Singer. So the rigid model is the 3D model of them, and I want the body 2 because that's what I'm modifying is body 2 in my mesh calls for body 2 and head 2. So I'm going to do head 2 here. That's why I chose body 2 is I can't tell them apart, and just to keep it consistent, the 2s, then I know which ones I'm working with. Okay, so that's the rigid model taken care of. Now what I'm going to add is the actual skins themselves. And you'll see what those look like. They're weird. I don't know how anybody does the art for them. It's crazy. So we're going to go to Variants, DDS. And specifically, if we don't find it in DDS, we're going to find it in DDS2. Now I believe DDS2, not DDS underscore 2, but DDS2. So the most common place for the DDS files, which is the skins, is going to be under DDS, variants DDS. But otherwise it will be variants DDS2. And if I remember right, those are often like the Warhammer 1 stuff. So let's see, or just, I don't even know. It's just something. So yep, it looks like that she was in variants DDS2. So these are the diffuse. So these DDS files, basically diffuse is the normal skin. So that's what I want is the body. So it says body 1 and head 1, and you'd think, well, I'm looking for 2. Well, all of them are actually defined by a single picture, just different parts of it. So I'm going to choose the diffuse body and the diffuse head, because those are the only things I want to modify is the diffuse. The other stuff would be like how glossy it is. If I want to do a mask, that would be like a what is it? Maybe like a eye patch or some crap. Specular is like, I don't know, shininess, if I remember right. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we got the things we want. I just want to change the color of her skin. Okay. So now we have the 2 files for her skin, and we have the 2 files for her model itself. And we are going to close out of this, and we are going to export these. So first off, I'm going to select them, right click, and extract. So I'm going to extract it into a file. It doesn't matter what file, I just do it. All my extractions go to the same file. I'm going to do the same for these 2. That warning just told me you can't open it, and it's like, I know that, thank you. I'm going to extract to the same file. Okay, so those are those. Now we're going to open those files. So under variant meshes where I save them, it's HU1B, that's Wood Elf female body styles, and we're going to first modify the picture. So let's open this with GIMP. And we're going to open, so we're going to open both of them in GIMP, and we're going to change them around. So here's the head. Notice there's 2 different types of heads in this file, and it's freaky looking. This is complicated as all get up on like editing these, because an edit here, it's like what part of it are you editing? This is obviously her neck and face, but some of these things it's like what is this? I think that's her braids and stuff. What the heck is this? I don't have a clue. Okay, there's her ears. All right. I'm going to also open the body as well. Okay, so we've got those opened. Now what we're going to do is close out. Now I'm going to change this to have blue skin. So I'm going to change the color temperature. Let's say like 7,500 and 3,400. Doesn't matter. Your edits are your own edits, but that would give her some blue skin. I'll do the same thing over here, color temperature, same number just to keep it consistent so it's not like weird looking. 3400. Okay, so we have the skin color change. Now, also, we have this leaf here, and I'm going to make this leaf so that the model is pulling, like, it has like leaves on her boots and stuff like that. I'm going to change it so it looks less like leaves and more like fur. So I'm going to select this portion, and I'm going to say color, hue chroma, and I'm going to change this. Let's say, I think -50 will probably do it. Yeah, that's brownish. I'm going to make it a little darker though, -12. Okay, so that's changed. I'm going to do the same thing over here for the body's leaf as well. So like this one leaf is used in all the leaves on her body. And so all the leaves will be changed by changing this singular leaf. Okay, hue chroma, same thing. I'm going to choose -50 and -12 to make it darker. Okay, so we have that taken care of. These are now good to go. And if this was not a Total War Warhammer 1 model, I could just say File, Overwrite, and it would overwrite it back to DDS. It would be fine. However, for some reason, and I've only had it happen with Warhammer 1 models, when I do that from GIMP, I get graphical glitches. Even if I didn't change anything, if I just import it and then do it back over, I get graphical issues. So instead, I'm going to export it as a PNG, into the same place where I got it originally, in the same file from my extraction. Because I don't want to change where they are, because when I import them back in, I want them coming from the same like folder structure, PNG. So I'm going to export these as PNGs. And I am going to open them up in paint.net, where I'm going to switch them over to DDSs. Again, it's just something I've found. It's a workaround. It doesn't make any sense, I'll be honest with you. But there's no consistency. It's so freaking weird. But that's the joys of modding, is there's no consistency. Okay, so here's these. What we're going to do is we're going to save as her head as instead of that, DDS. Now, what we're also going to do is I'm going to change the name from Wood Elf to something with the same number of characters. I'm going to say MAS for Mass Mustachio. This is because when I call for this skin, I only want, I don't want the Blade Singer's models changed, essentially. I just want Throgg's model changed. So I need to change the name. Otherwise, this change, if I just put it back in, it's fine if you want the Blade Singer's models also to be blue-skinned, but I don't want that. Okay, so so that's why I'm changing the name. And again, the number of characters is very important. Just keep it the same. So we save that. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Save as. I'm going to change it from Wood Elf to MAS. And again, I'm going to do a DDS file. Okay, so we're good there. These work now without any issues. If I import them, they're going to work. But I now need the rigid model to call for them, essentially to call for the new created things that we're using. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to open our hex editor. I'm going to just use a free hex editor here. Okay. So once we're there, we are going to open a file. So this is where we're going to open the rigid model. So I'm going to go to Solid State Drive, Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, oops, not Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2, where I have the rigid models that I exported. So it's in Variant Mesh, this, here. So let's do body first. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to find all the diffuse callouts and change them from Wood Elf to MAS. So I'm going to search for diffuse. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to change it from Wood Elf to MAS so that it calls the new files that I created. Find the next, same thing, MAS. Find next, same thing, MAS. Notice I only changed the name here. I'm not changing all these Wood Elf things. So essentially the other stuff is just where the folders are. So I don't want to change the folder structure, otherwise I'll change everything and essentially it will not be able to find them and you'll get empty textures and stuff. Okay, once I'm done with changing all of those, I want to just go back over and make sure that I've changed all of them to mass. Okay, they're good. So I'm going to save this now. It's fine. Don't need to worry about that. Just say download. We have our rigid model here. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, but for the head now. So we're going to go through. We're going to find diffuse, and we're going to change it to mass. Mass. Now this is why we couldn't change the number of characters, because if we did, it would throw off the whole rigid model and break it. I don't know why. I don't know enough about modeling like this. I just don't get it. So it is what it is. Okay. So again, I go back to the beginning and just make sure I've changed all of them. Okay. So we're good to go. I'm going to save this, download it. Okay, now in my downloads, I have these two things. Now I'm going to actually change their names. It doesn't matter what their name is, but I'm just going to keep it consistent, change them all over to this mass so that I know that these are the ones I've changed. All right, so we do need to change the name though, otherwise again it will be using that new rigid model for everything that uses that. So we're going to copy this and we're going to put it back where we got it. So I don't need it here. I'm going to open solid state drive, Steam apps, common, Warhammer 2, where I downloaded it. Okay, here. Paste it in the exact same spot I found it. I can actually delete these, don't need them anymore. Same thing here. I can change anything that's not mass. I can get rid of them because I don't really need them anymore. So there's no confusion then. Okay, so these are all in the correct places now. So what we're going to do is we're going to import them back into it. And we're going to import them here into where they belong. So first off, the images I'm going to import here by saying add from file, variant mesh, HU1B, text. Okay, here those are. So those are the two MAS. Now I can delete the wood elf. I choose to delete them after the fact so it keeps the file structure. Okay, now I'm going to do that and I'm going to right click on this one and add file, and we're going to add these two rigid models, and I can now delete these. Yes, yes. Okay, so now I have the rigid model, I have that. What I'm going to do now is just make sure that when this thing is calling for the rigid models of the head and body, it's not choosing the wood elf one now, it's choosing the mass mustachios one, MAS. So this isn't the variant mesh definition. This is maybe the annoyance of having all the bodies just be duplicates, as I have to type it in a few times. But like I said, I run into issues when I don't do this, so I just leave it alone. Okay, there we go. We're good on, so now our figure looks the way he should, or she, I guess now. Okay, but now we need to make sure that it's animated correctly. I also need to make sure that she sounds correct. Also, I need to change some texts in the game. We won't do all of those in this, but I'll at least show you the text and I'll change the name. And I need to change all of her pictures. So let's start with her pictures. How about that? So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, add from pack file, and we're going to find Throgg's pictures. So in data, Throgg's pictures, so we're going to look for data, and we are going to look for UI, portraits, and we have 3 portraits that every faction leader uses. The faction leader, the porthole, and the unit. All units use porthole and units. Faction leaders use an additional one. So we're going to look for Throgg here. Now notice there's only one portrait for Throgg and it's in faction leaders. that means that I'm going to have to look for his other pictures in a different data pack. So I'm going to add from pack file, and I'm going to go to data, let's say data 2. Data 1, let's try data 1 first. Nope, no Throgg there. Add from pack file, data 2. Let's find Throgg here, maybe. Okay, that's promising. Okay. Notice for some reason the pictures are chaos. Now the masks don't, I mean, Throgg has no masks, so I don't need them. It's just a file structure that apparently they used to use sometimes and then stopped using all the time. It's weird. They have so much inconsistencies. Clearly different people are doing this at any given time. All right, with no real communication between each other. Okay. So we have the pictures. They are under portraits. So we have Throgg's faction leader, his porthole, and his unit one. Okay. So we are going to edit these, and what that entails is we're going to extract it. So I'm going to extract this to the Mass Mustachio thing. I'm going to do the same thing here, extract. And I'm going to extract. Oh. Okay, so those are all where they belong. I'm going to open those with GIMP and change them around. So at the same time, I'm going to open this troll woman with GIMP as well. So like I said, you choose whatever you want. I'm just choosing her for the time being because I like this picture. It was like the inspiration for the changes that I made here. Okay. So we are going to go to the UI portraits faction leader. I'm going to open this with GIMP. I'm going to do the same thing with the other ones as well. So portraits, porthole, chaos. For some reason, like I said, the Norskins are in chaos in this case. Don't ask me why. Open with GIMP. You can see some of the other portraits I've gone through and done. Okay. And then our last one is the units picture. Ooh, it didn't save that one. Let's try that again. Extract. Oh, it probably put it in the wrong folder subtype, so I just want to make sure I get it in the right place. Here we go. So open with GIMP. Okay. So now what we need to do is we just have to make sure that the reason I'm importing these ones is we just have to make sure that these are the same size. So whatever new picture I create is going to be the exact same size as the previous one. So let's do the faction leader one first. If I go to image and scale image, it is 85 by 115. So I'm going to select an 85 by 115 fixed size. 85 by 115. Okay, now this is too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this image down. Let's say 250. Sure, whatever. Okay, that's not quite enough, I would say. I just kind of want it to look similar in style to the one that is already there. So I want more kind of neck. So image, scale image. Okay, I think that should do it. Okay, so not too worried about her ears showing up. That's good enough. So what I'm going to do is edit and copy and paste it onto this. Now I can say file and overwrite Throgg's PNG. Okay. Now this next one is the porthole. It's circular, so I'm going to choose a circle. And let's see what size this is. It's 164 by 164. So now I'm going to scale this back up, and I'm going to choose a circle that is 164 by 164. And you know what? That looks okay. I might need to scale her down just a little bit. So layer, and again, this is all up to personal preference. I just choose to make them look similar in style to what's already in the game. so that it doesn't look like out of place, severely out of place. I feel like oftentimes people will do something that just kind of goes, it's just a little out of place. So we will again copy and paste it here. And then the last one is pretty small. Let's see what it is. 60 by 130. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so here I am going to choose a 60 by 130. Okay, here, obviously much too large. Image, scale image. I'm going to scale it down to about 200, I would think. All right. There we go. That looks great. All right, so we didn't do it for here, so let's export, overwrite it, and edit. We are going to our file overwrite the other one. Okay, so those images have now been overwritten with the new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this, just change it slightly so that I can tell which one's which. The reality is I should be able to change it or see in the preview, but sometimes for whatever reason previews don't show up for me. So, all right, so what we're going to do is in the faction leader, I'm going to add from file, UI, portraits, faction leader, Norska. Okay, now here in the portholes chaos thing, I'm going to add from file, portholes, chaos, Throgg, and in the units I'm going to do the same thing, add file, units, chaos, Throgg. Okay, so now I can delete the ones that are the old ones, and we have the new ones in there. All right, so now she looks correct. We're going to save. Let's now make sure all the animations and everything. So she looks correct now, but in order for this to stick, we need to create some animations so that she doesn't look like a mess. So we're going to add some pack files now. And we're going to go back to data, and we're going to add all the ones that I'm going to use. Well, most of the ones I'm going to use now. So I want to do campaign character art. So all of these are going to be in data. Most everything tends to be in data, to be honest. Okay, so database, a lot of things are then in database as well. So we are looking for campaign, battle arts. I can never really find these when I do this. Campaign, battle, nope. Okay, whatever. I'll just look for it the old-fashioned way. Maybe I'm just spelling it wrong. Anyway. Campaign, oh, that's why it's campaign character, if I remember right. Character arts. Okay, so we've added that table. We're going to add culture to battle animation. So that should be down here a little bit. Culture to battle animations. This will allow me to create the animations I need for it. Campaign character art will change like the animations on campaign maps. The front-end faction leaders now I think I should do. That will give us our front-end stuff when we choose the character. We're going to do land units tables, which is a super important one with a lot of stats, which I can't open on this product, but I can at least add it because like I said, it's just been buggy lately. We're going to do main units table, which is where I can make some more changes. I think I'll have to remember what it is, but I know I usually use that in most everything. And then variants I use a lot as well. So variants table. Okay, so we have all of those added in, and we will go ahead and save. So now we're going to go through and change all of these tables, starting at the bottom. So first off, we're looking for Throgg here. Now, the only thing I need to change on the variance here is his scale. He's small right now. We're going to make it scale 3, not 30, times 3. So that's good here. I'm going to copy him and delete everything else. Right-click, add row, paste it. So just Throgg is there. We don't need all the other data. Our database, all these things, we're going to change their names so that they don't have issues with compatibility. You can name them whatever you want. I name them all masked_data. Main units table, let's see. What does this change? Oh yeah, this is where I need to change my audio voiceover. Again, things are all over the place, but this is essentially where I'm going to change the portholes, which is the tiny camera in the bottom left that shows what the unit looks like. I'm also going to change the audio here. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Blade Singer's porthole. So, because I'm using that model, so it makes sense that I'd probably use the same thing. So I'm going to use that for Throgg. Now I'm going to use the Dreadlord female voices. So first off, I need the Dark Elves culture, because it tells it where the file comes from. This is the culture, and then okay, we are now going to choose the Dreadlord female voice under the audio actors. Okay. All right, so that voice has been changed. Again, there's more things to change if you want, but as is, it's good how he is. Again, I don't want to change anything really, so I'm going to copy that. I'm just changing the looks and the sounds essentially. Delete everything, add a row, paste it in. Now there are things that we can also do that can like clear out extraneous stuff, but I don't need to do that when I can just delete it myself. Masked data, so that's now renamed. Essentially, I rename things after I work on them. Now, land units does not open, as you see, so we'll have to deal with that later. So we're going to do the front end here. I don't know what uniform has to do with, so I'm going to look here under like key. So I'm looking for Throgg. There's Throgg. I'm going to change the video so that's not Throgg as a video. I mean, some of these work, some of them don't. It doesn't really matter, but this is when you choose your character. I just don't want it to be glaringly a different person, so I'm just going to say race intro Norska. Also, I'm going to get rid of the voice here so it doesn't have Throgg's voice when you select it. It's just going to be silent. Okay, that's good enough there. So now the front end, when you actually choose Throgg, will look better, look more appropriate for a female Throgg. Look and sound more appropriate. I'm going to rename this. Okay, now culture to battle animation is going to allow me to put an animation to the Norskin people that didn't exist on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for battle animation, essentially elf, sword, and shield. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is the H1, let's see, I don't remember which one. D and B in my brain are the same. B is a female, D is the male. So we want the female one. So I'm going to take this, copy it. Okay. All right, I'm going to actually right click and add a row. I'm going to, whatever, I'll insert a row. How about that? There we go. Battle animations, sword. Now we're going to choose Norska. Now Norska QB4, no idea what that is, but I think it's this one is the correct one. Now I can delete everything else. If I needed more animations, I could just keep animations. Initially, I had it in the culture pack Norska. There's actually 2 labeled here. And it turns out neither of those are that. This is a very odd situation. Essentially, if you notice, they have like the rogue pirates and stuff like that, and the Norska ones that are labeled are both kind of like a rebel faction type thing. I should have, well, there is no Norska one. Most of them do have it, like Wood Elves, Bretonia, etc. Norska is considered chaos, however. I also ended up using the vampire sword female battle animation, dropped the shield, so I decided not to use a shield. One of the things to be aware of is that any animation that works for HU1B is going to work for this body type that I'm using. So I'm using an elf female body that's an HU1B body, and so any animation that works for HU1B will work for her. That includes the vampire women models, and the obviously all the elf women models and the Bretonnian women models. So anything with that will work, and in general they kind of mix and match heads and bodies okay, but you should be aware that the vampire head actually is where you define the boobs for the vampire women's skin. So if you put an elf woman's head on a vampire woman's body, you will have no mesh, no skin on her boobs. It will just be this emptiness on her. It's weird. I don't know why you would put the boobs on the head. Anyway, that's just something to be aware of. Also, I mentioned in my Wolfric something about the animations of or the placement of his his position on mounts, and I called it battle entities. That is incorrect. It should be in here in database. It's actually battle personalities. Now you might also need to affect the campaign mount animation as well, set overrides, and this can also be where you can change around the animations as well for mounts. So it's something to be aware of, that I utilize battle personalities tables and campaign mount animations to essentially get the animation to work on campaign and on. So this is more campaign side, this is more battle side, and this is just mostly for placement of the character on the different mounts more. Okay, so this now allows me to put animations in the game in battle, which is going to be taken care of in the land units table, just so you're aware. Okay, now the character arts is where we're going to have the animation on the campaign. So just so you know, animations in battle are different from campaign ones, and there's a limited number of land animations on campaign. Okay, so you're stuck with what are available here, and it's more limited than the battle animations. So you know, you have your limitations there. We are going to choose essentially our Dreadlord. So Dreadlord female, and we're going to choose her animation. It's the B Elf Sword and Shield, and we're going to use it for Throgg. So now his campaign animation will fit the body and it will work. It won't be T-posing everywhere. So if it's T-posing or like this freakish mess of like body parts flying all over the place, your animation is messed up or it doesn't work for the body. Okay, so we'll rename this as masked data. Now let's make sure nothing else. Land animation, yep, it's fine. Okay, so we have now we're pretty much done. Almost, we're getting there. We're really, really close to the end. But now we need to go to land units table. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have to go to my pack file and open it here because like I said, you saw it doesn't open. So let's open test. And we're gonna go to database. And actually, I'm going to choose my culture to get battle animation. I'm just gonna pull this animation here. Elf Sword and Shield, and I'm going to go to my land and I'm going to post it into Throgg's. Now one of the reasons I don't use this if I can help it is you can't really search for things, so we have to find it. So it's under main is where Norska is usually, but they're all over the place. Actually no, this is DLC 8 is when Throgg got added in. So some Norska is just main and some of it isn't. So Throgg is right here. I'm going to delete everything else. Again, it's kind of a pain to do that. Shift select, delete. Okay, now notice, just so you're aware, what these numbers mean. Essentially, there's a different entity for every mounted version. So Wolfric is foot, horse, chariot, and the mammoth. And just so you know, getting the animations right on some of those things is a real pain. You can do it, but it requires changing around some stuff that isn't in here, I'll tell you what it is, because I just did Wolfric and it was a pain to get those, so I'll at least mention where I looked for it. Okay, so we're going to go to main animation and replace it with the Elf Sword and Shield. This is where all the stats and stuff of the unit is, so this is where you would go if you want to edit a bunch of stuff involving the hero. Alright, so that's good enough though. I'm not going to change anything else. So now I can rename this as masked data. Now, as I was mentioning, so a couple things to be aware of. When you are talking about kind of, so here, officers, when you're trying to put them on different weird mounts, so like the vampire counts, for example, not the vampire counts, the pirates, when you're putting them on like the Leviathan and crap, you might have to like get rid of the officer. You might have to edit the officers in officers land units officers table. You might also have to edit in like battle entity tables, where the actual like the placement of the characters on the mount that can change where they are. And I had to do that for Wolfric, and I've had to do it with Silostra as well to get her into a different position when I changed her model. So just be aware of that. It's every mod is a little different. Okay. So we've saved that and we made the changes we needed to do on that. So I'm going to go ahead and reopen it here. And all right, so basically we have all the animations correct. We have all the visuals correct. The only real thing we have to do is the start position and the voice on the campaign. Okay, the start position for the voice on the campaign, and then also some text stuff. So just so you see them, add file, or excuse me, add from pack file. We're gonna go to local. This is where all the like information is. That's like the written stuff. Local English. Now this is Throgg. He might have to do other stuff. I don't know. We'll have to see. But local English pack. And this is where all the text is in this database. Now I'm gonna pull up another one just so I can pull up another mod that I've made. Just so that you know, so you can see like kind of all the text files so far that I've found that I've used on my mods to just change like he to she and stuff like that. Battle set pieces, so let me make this a little bit bigger. Armies, set pieces, skill node sets, skills, trait levels, custom loading screen, effect bundles, front-end faction leaders, land units, loading screen quotes, mission text, missions, names, scripted objectives, scripted subtitles, unit abilities, unit description, historical text, unit description, short text. That's so far all the things I've found. There's probably more. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all of those ones here. I'm just going to add names. That's the big one. So we're going to change her name, because at the end of the day, that's the big thing. So this is where all their names are. I love that one. Drumpla, that's great. We're going to look for text, and I'm going to look for Throgg. Now Throgg, I'm going to make a minor change. I haven't decided on the name yet, but let's say Throgga. Okay, seems really silly, but such is life. Throgga, feminine now. Delete everything else, add row, Throgga it is. Now, I have not figured out how to change the name of the character in battle in the, like, just the quick battle stuff. This won't change her name. It will change everything else, but not her name. It's weird. So there's more, like I said, to change around the text in, like, the quests and stuff. That will just kind of make everything look better in general. But basically, we're done here. So our mod is complete practically. The only issue is the campaign voice now, to make sure the campaign voice is changed and to change it. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to close out of every modding tool we have to make sure that we're not going to get any issues. Okay, we're going to close out of this because Bob is a fickle beast. Also, I'm going to open the game really quick and turn off all of my mods, because if the mods are open, Bob is a fickle beast, he will be mad. Okay, there are no mods on. Deactivate all. Okay, so now that that is taken care of, we are going to go to the assembly kit. and we're going to open this monster. We're going to start with Dave, though. Dave is the editor, kind of like we've been doing. It edits the packs, but it does it in a really crappy way. So thank heavens for the people who have been doing this. So we're going to go View Table Launcher. So first off, I need to change the agent subtypes table. This is where we go for the voice. There's more to it, but essentially the audio voiceover text is the big thing. We are going to look for, we're actually going to do silent because, I don't know, I've just been tired of hearing, like I could do also Dreadlord, but I don't know, on the campaign map they scream the Dreadlord crap way too much and it just kind of is annoying. So really I'm just looking for Throgg to change out Throgg. So let's find Throgg. DLC 8. Hopefully he's there. There he is, 125. We are going to go over to his sound, and we are going to change it to, I'm going to change it to a silent actor, so he's quiet, no screaming on the map. I actually kind of like that. I wish there should be a setting to just turn off voices, so that you don't have to hear them yell their name every freaking time. Okay, now here we're not going to save, or we're not going to like delete anything. We're just going to say apply and close. All right, so it's changed to silent. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do the start position, the dreaded start position. We're going to do just start position characters. All right, here is where some weird stuff happens. First off, we don't need to make any changes. We just have to make a change and change it back to the normal so that it thinks that a change has occurred. You could do this right at the beginning. Starts turn before, or turns died before start. I could say 1. That shows a yellow that it's been changed. I can now delete it because this is obviously something from one of the other games like Rome or Shogun. In fact, you'll see files all the time from Rome and even back as far as Shogun 2. Maybe further, but I don't know. Hey, look at that. Throgg is right here. Thank heavens I don't have to go looking for him. Now, it doesn't actually matter, but if I wanted to change his movement, X and Y, right here, I might actually just change something, so 8, and then change it back to 9. Ooh, not that high. Okay, there. Now, there are maps. If you Google start position, map locations, X, Ys, will tell you where things are. So if you're really going through and doing all of your start positions and creating a start position, like a major thing, like say Mixu or something like that, you could go here. But yeah, the thing to be aware of with this as well is that Y and X's are basically backwards, where a change positive doesn't go up, it goes down. It's so weird. But anyway, so I've just made changes that actually didn't change anything, and I'm going to apply and close. Okay, notice from 669 to 669, and from nothing to nothing. Okay, so now I don't know if this actually is important. Sometimes so the reason why I say I don't know is because Bob is fickle, and sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I won't bore you with me going and doing the same thing over and over again until it does work. That's really all I've done before. I have spent literally like 6 hours in a day for one mod just trying to get the stupid start position to work. Okay, and I don't do anything different. I just keep doing it, and then suddenly it works. So I have found that when I do the voice as well here, it seems to work more often. Let's hope. Okay, we're going to export changes to binary. That's not actually all that important as far as I can tell. I don't know what the heck that actually even does, to be honest. Okay, close out, because it still gives me this warning. Yes, I'm sure. Shut up, you. All right. Let's go to launch Bob now. Bob, the dreaded Bob. He's the builder. He builds the packs for you now with the changes you made on this table. Okay. And you can import all the packs you want to import, but, oh, it takes a while to open too. All right. So if it takes you 20 minutes to open, don't be surprised. All right. We're going to go to our campaigns here in the working data, and we're going to select our start positions and create a pack with them. This is just the victory text for what it takes to win. We're also going to go to our database, and we're going to find agent subtypes table. and we're going to add that, okay, as well, because that's the other thing we edited. So that's all set up in our mod, and we're going to hit start. Now, Bob will take a little bit to do this, and I'll keep it going so you can see what happens, but basically, he's going to have to open the game twice. First time he does it for the start position for the main campaign, and the second time for the Vortex campaign, or maybe vice versa. I'm not actually 100% sure. I'm pretty sure the main campaign comes first, but who knows? Doesn't really matter. He has to do it for both of them. Now, a few things that I have kind of noticed with this. I hope I don't crash. Also, sometimes Bob crashes. We will see. All right. We're going to close the program. We're actually going to abort this. So you see now that sometimes crap happens with it. It's really stupid. Bob is trash. Okay, let's try this again. This is why nobody does editing on this. And Dave crashes just as much. Okay, so sometimes you just get crashes for no reason. There's no reason at all. Again, and Bob takes forever to open up as well, which is wonderful. Okay, so campaigns, we're going to do start position, create a pack file. We're going to go to our database agent subtypes table and also export that as well. And we're going to start this again, and let's see if it works this time. Like I said, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And once we have this, we'll start up the game and just check it out. Essentially, as you're modding, the thing to be aware of is that it's just trial and error. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. You just need to go through and work with it until you can get it to function. And it's a matter of the one of the struggles is finding what tables do what. It was really frustrating to figure out like the voice on the campaign. The voice on the campaign should not require start position mod. I don't understand why they would connect voices to start position when they don't connect like anything else to it, but they do. So it's just one of those things that happens. And that took me like days of pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why it was that my voice wasn't changing on the campaign when it was changing in the battle, and I definitely changed the voices. Okay, that was the first one. Didn't even crash, thank heavens. Now we're going to try the next one. Now, the other thing to be aware of is there's a lot that goes into these mods, and everything that you do is much more kind of in-depth, and doing it the first time is like confusing, and you're like, what the freak do I do? What are all the tables I need to do? And it takes a lot of research. And I just found that there are some good helpful people out there for sure, no doubt. On the there's like a modding Discord channel, then they're really helpful there, so I'll link it down in the description. There's people who've made Steam guides as well to kind of help, but basically I haven't been able to find all the information that I need for everything. Okay, so we are done. It worked, probably, maybe. Okay, now what we're going to do is open up our pack file manager again, and I'm actually going to just create a new pack. Add from pack file. I am going to add, first off, the assembly kit data that we just got. It's under assembly kit, retail, data. This is our mod here. So what we need are the campaign. So pretty much everything from that one. So it's going to be campaigns and database. Now I can't open agent subtypes on this either. It's annoying. Okay, we do not rename these. It will bug out. Okay, now I'm going to add from pack file. I'm going to add my mod that I've already worked on. Test, the one we've been doing, and just add the whole thing. Double click on it. That's everything. Okay, So now I'm going to save pack file as test. So save over my file. Okay, and I'm going to open up this file in the pack file to get rid of extra data on my database. So open data test. Okay, database agent subtypes. Okay, we need to find Throgg. DLC8, let's hope he's there. Throgg, he's near the bottom. Okay. Voice actor silent. Boom, that's good. So that did make the change. I'm just going to delete these other characters. So I just have him. And I am going to rename this as masked data. Okay, everything is good to go. I can now save this, and my mod should be done. As long as everything's working, it's good. What you need to do now is create a image that's a 256 by 256 PNG, and put it in the same data folder as the mod. Name it the exact same thing, and you can go to Warhammer here and upload it by going to your mod. Your mod will now show up. All of my mods in my data file show up here. So here's my test here. You just click this once you have the image and everything. You can upload from there. You can change the name and stuff, so it doesn't matter what the name is. But we're just going to make sure that this is working. And like I said, hopefully it works. If not, it's just because the voice is just the issue, most likely. The other issue that could maybe happen is, like I said, the variant mesh definition that we did at the beginning. Sometimes the weapons are just wonky when you import them from a different character. It's weird. I mean, you can fix them by just copying and pasting somebody else's character setup and then just overriding them with the character parts that you want. That's why I did it with the chieftain. Okay, custom battle, really quick to see. So there she is in Norska. So she's now Throgg. As I mentioned, Throgg's name hasn't changed in battle. It won't change. It's just one of those things that doesn't happen. I'm sure there's somewhere I can change it. I just haven't looked into it because I don't care enough. I just care about it for the campaign. All right, now notice.
Dreadlord.
There she is. She's big as hell. Okay, I might have to actually make her a little smaller. But there she is. Notice the leaves are brown now, so they look kind of like fur. Look at me go. And she has blue skin and red hair. All right, so everything's good. Okay. So that's good. Notice her voice too.
That's what the masters bid. Dreadlord, Droogie tyrants.
All right. So now the number of times you will open up battles while you're trying to choose like an animation and a skin. Oh my gosh, it's annoying. All right. Campaigns, new campaign. I'm going to go over to here. See, she's there. There's no noise with it.
My challenge?
And apparently that video that I chose isn't going to work, but that's okay. I can change that. Or I could just leave it blank and just not have a video. Doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna try. I'll find something, one of the videos that will work for it. I know there's like a Norska intro video that will work. That might not have been the correct Norska intro video. Again, this text I've never been able to change. I can find these words and I can change them around, but I can't do that. I think it's just a picture. This whole thing is one picture maybe. I'm not 100% sure. So maybe if I just edited the picture to begin with. But anyway. We are just about done checking this. Again, with the variant, by the way, when you change the variant size as well, it changes the variant size on the campaign map. So that's how we can make her big on the campaign. So she'll actually appear big as well. All right. There she is. Notice she's silent. And the porthole for her in the campaign is working. It works for me. I might change it though. But yeah, so everything is set up. She's good to go. Throgga is in. So hopefully this helped explain modding to a basic extent. I know it's a long video. Thanks for watching and everything and sticking through, but hopefully it helps you for your modding in the future, because I just want to show it because I had to learn all this stuff basically on my own, and I wanted it to be helpful for you guys, and also so that if I forget what I'm doing, I can come back and watch this video myself. So hopefully it helps. I appreciate you guys watching, and have a good one. Bye.